Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo. I'm here for Jujutsu, and I've got a question. Y'all ready to do some gardening? Put this away and get these gloves off so that I can actually use my keyboard and mouse and stuff. Bam! There's not too much to talk about here. We know where we're at. Reggie and Megumi have faced off, had a bit of a cool fight, and now Megumi has brought him into a gymnasium where he is prepared to spring his trap and unleash for the very first time his nearly fully formed domain, Chimera Shadow Garden. And that's basically all we've got. Reggie's awesome, Megumi's awesome. I'm really excited to see what his domain looks like. I'm excited for like some slow-mo moments with Tengen narration telling us how his domain works. I'm curious whether there will be any element of the way in which Megumi's domain works that reflects in an important way on his experiences over the past couple of chunks of the show. Does that make sense? Like the interactions with the family, the stuff that happened with Maki, the attitude that he has toward guilt and his sharing it with Yuji. If there's some element of that I can perceive as being woven into the actual aspect of his ability, I think that would be really cool, but I don't necessarily expect there to be. I'm just really excited to see a character that we care about, that we've spent a bunch of time with, that's been like steadily leveling up and becoming more imposing and more threatening and more interesting, reaching a very interesting emotional point in the last episode where he just like unthinkingly, like without any qualms, stepped over the threshold of killing. In that moment, just did it. None of the sort of difficulty that Yuji might struggle with in that circumstance. And now he faces off against this ancient sorcerer with odd powers and decides to unleash his best possible option. What's it going to look like? What's it going to feel like? How's it going to be? I don't know. I'm really excited to see how Reggie responds to it. I think Reggie being the one to be observing Megumi ends up adding a cool layer because he's like clearly powerful and a well knowledgeable sorcerer, but from a distant different time. So his impression of Megumi's power is like a sorcerer of this caliber, like somebody who would be very rare in the previous sorcery world, and we get to sort of see it from that angle, which kind of builds Megumi up even more. I like it. I think it's cool. I think that they're going to hit it out of the park in terms of making it land visually and as an experience of being in the domain. I think pretty much every time we've entered into a big domain space, whether it's Higuruma's law situation or the flaming volcano hellscape or whatever, domains have been fucking cool, and I'm really excited to see Megumi add his name to the list of people who do the domain dance, you know? So, let me draw something, and then we'll get right into the episode. Okay, I want to do this sort of in negative, if that makes sense. See, like, I don't really remember what the shape or the form of the thing was, so I'm just gonna end up building it out for fun. The thing that was striking and clear to me was tentacles, like tendrils of light. So I think it's really important that I get a couple of those drawn out. Imagining almost like a spine going down. Neat. Weird. Neat. I kind of wish that I hadn't gone in with the brush pen or the marker afterward. I feel like it might have been better if I just left it as all pencil, but still, striking. Interesting. Weird. Cool. Alright, we've got our squiggly squiddy boy to join us. Let's go ahead and dive into episode 58, Tokyo Colony number 1, part 5, which I think is the last of the Tokyo Colony. The last one is Sendai Colony, I think, for the next final episode. kind of hoping that this is separated from the next one, and that the next one is like overview more stuff, that we sort of like seal this arc off and transition into whatever's going to come next, the dropping of the bomb or whatever we're sort of waiting for, and then things kind of explode in the last episode and leave us waiting for more from the next season, you know. But I'm kind of hoping that this one and the next one aren't super glued together, so that we can focus in on the Megami Reggie fight and anything else that happens in this one. But we'll just have to watch the episode and find out, and that's what I'm ready to do. So I've got the episode up and ready to go. It's sitting at 0 seconds. There'll be 2 versions, picture in picture in the description, timer on YouTube, early access on the Patreon, and a beep beep timer to count you down. Let's go. We're in it. We are in it. Ooh. Well, that was cool. Hollow wicker basket. What does that do? Oh. Okay. Okay, well, here are our slow-mo Tengen narration. So it's just a shield, but it's not a true simple. Megumi has not. He's not using a sure hit. Right. So he's still able to use all his shadow stuff. It's just like you're not in a sure hit domain. Okay. Yeah, no. Oh. I'm having trouble following the visuals and the whoa. I think he's winning, dude. It's just his fucking realm, man. Ooh. That was a Watanabe, if I've ever seen one. Look at everything smearing. Whoa! Whoa, we're running and sliding. We're spinning and winning. Woo! This is way worse. Mmm. How do you get out, man? Can you? Oh my god. I wonder where Watanabe's been for the last, like, 8 episodes. He's been working on this. Oh? Okay, he seems like he's pleased. What are we warping? Kiro! Kiro, stop! Okay, well, he brought in cars. I don't get it. What's happening? Is Megumi getting overwhelmed? But it's too big, it's too stretched, isn't it? He's dropping the cars in there. He's adding to his shadow. Oh my god, he's overfilling his bag of holding. Just dropping the cars in. Shit! Oh, that's cool. It counts as his weight? Add more weight. Yeah, you got any more trucks? Clearly. Uh-huh. Oh. Oh, I thought he was gonna drop his cars on him. Oofa! That's a lot of weight out of your domain. Yeah! Oh my god. That was a crazy couple minutes. How much of that was Kiro? Like, a lot. Woo! That was a shot of adrenaline straight to the, the Pulp Fiction scene. I feel like... I was having trouble waking up this morning. Not anymore. Not anymore. I feel like it's not over though. I feel like Reggie's got one more play at least. The fact that he had like a proto simple domain is so cool. Because previously we did the simple domain as like the trap card that's like, this is the proto thing that nobody uses anymore, but it's the antidote to the big heavy hitter domain attacks. And now we've got somebody who doesn't even have that, but has something. I gotta go back through the dialogue around like the sure hit, sure kill stuff, really figure it out. Because I was just like kind of overwhelmed by all the things happening. Jets. Oh, G-forces. I see. I was like, why are we doing jets? Are they going to attack the colonies or? Fuck. It's just on top of Reggie. It's a heavy boy. Three to 6 tons. Oh. Uh. And he's got his hands are limited, so his ability to grab a receipt is really low. The waves of energy. I was wondering if he had the trucks. Got a trump card. I wonder what it is. What if it's like an airline flight that just takes him somewhere else? All of this thought while he's straining against his life! You don't have time to wonder! You don't have time to wonder. He's gonna go in. But what else do you have? Okay, we get to see the trump card. Let's go! For sure it was gonna be that, but contract of what? What was the contract for? He's still under all that weight. Okay, Reggie, where the fuck are you? Reggie? Oh, he dropped in. Oh, he dropped in, didn't he? Holy shit. That's a nightmare. Okay, it is gonna release him, isn't it? And he can't expel individual things, he just has to expel it all? It's calming. I think Reggie's gonna try and outplay at the edge of everything. He's still gonna try and outplay. Oh. Oh, that's a car. Holy shit! How'd you manage that, Reggie? Okay. Oh. So he caught himself on one of them? Rise. Rise up. But is that too much to release from Megumi? Oh shit, Megumi's in a bad way though. He's gonna get fucking dead now that he's getting confident. Ah shit, what is he pulling? Oh! When I decided I wanted to get on the housing ladder, this is not what I meant, Reggie. Except? What do you got, Megumi? Come on, Megumi. Holy shit, a house. Drop into your own shadow, right? It's your only way to not get crushed. Is it all the water he was carrying from... Oh! Is it all the water he was carrying an elephant or something? What the hell? Oh, it's all on his weight! Where's the water coming from, though? They fell through. They fell through the gym into the pool. Oh! Reggie's up. So, the house, he must have released the domain and gotten crushed through the... Okay. So then how did he get around him? And then how did he get out? And how is he still so heavy if he'd released his domain? Uh-oh. Yeah, I wouldn't be certain. We're just gonna fight it out, aren't we? Please. No, please. Please just beat each other to death. No, dude, I think he's just gonna beat you to death. I think we're out of... Yeah, they're gonna do it right there. Right there by the showers. We're gonna do a hand-to-hand combat sequence, aren't we? We're setting it up like a Western duel. I'm about to see something awesome. You ever get that feeling? Yep. Yep. Let's go! Holy shit! Was that a Shikigami? Was that Nue? Wow. Oh. So he held the Vine Dog in the background as a trap card, because Reggie believed he'd killed it or taken it down. So many layers of outplays. What are we doing? We doing like a Nanami style death sequence for Reggie? Yeah. And the blood spreading through the water. It was the only play he could make. Wow. What a striking shot. They knew each other. Right. Whoa. Whoa, that would be a wrinkle. Yeah. Wow, what an artistic death. Oh. Okay. I don't think he is. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Not really invested. Depends what you ask, Reggie. Whoa. Okay. I don't know how else to live a life. What an oddly heart touching goodbye to Reggie Starr. Not a character I expected to have like an emotional attachment to in that way. He's dead. What the fuck? How did he get back in the building? Weren't they fighting? His clothes just changed. It's because it's funny. It's because it's funny. Oh, have you now? He just keeps reappearing like a Bugs fucking bunny. That's the damage. Shit just bounces off of him. I really like the way that roof is colored. What are you doing? Oh, he's just gonna walk. He's done. You've won by tiring him out. Whatever he's convinced is funny. Holy shit. Oh my god, he's completely ignorant. Okay, Remy. Remy, you are going to get so dead. Oh no. Oh no. I don't wanna fuck this. Okay, Megami. Remy wants money. Sure you are, Remy. Sorry, after that whole crying sequence, I just can't. You're not that fucking cute. We're gonna do it all in shadow. Whoa. That was his sister's voice, right? Who else would it have been? He's not even sparing you. He's sparing himself from having to kill your ass. And she's got the good heart, right? Hey? Oh, hi there. We've been fucking looking for you. I'm a little scared of that. I'm not sure what. Oh, this is where he was taking somebody. Doruv Lakdawala. Indian subcontinent situation. Yep. Good. His eyes. Or are they the big guys? What's up? He's in the OP. His hair is a cannon, isn't it? His hair shoots stuff. Holy shit. Oh, also in the OP. That looks like a bug. Oh! This is a bunch of cool setup. Until certain conditions are met. What are the conditions? Okay. They also have different, like, areas where they... Otto. And now it's imbalanced. Oh, Yuta! Yuta's in here taking people out. Is that gonna be our episode? Is our episode gonna be a Yuta fighting a bunch of people episode? Is that end of episode? That was tight. That was tight. That was tight. That was well seasoned. That was medium rare. That was some good stuff. Finally, some good fucking food. Comedian. God. I'm glad I got it. I'm glad I got it. That's so insane. Second only to Gojo Satoru and the comedian, who's completely unbeat. Like, why would he ever find himself dying to be funny? No, the funny thing is if an explosion happens and then the next scene is him drinking tea. That's what's funny. Incredible. All by myself! We are gonna focus on Yuta. That's great. That's great. I think that is awesome because we've sort of concluded all these, like, core character arc portions. Megami's done his fight, Yuji's had his big fight, and now we can transition to something else that will impact the whole state of the world as we transition into the next season. I think that's brilliantly put together, like, structurally. Okay, this episode is tight and fun. We start off in wild animation space that just sort of escalates until the big set of Watanabe cuts. There's really awesome like mind games and power awareness and like figuring out how somebody else's power works in order to figure out what weaknesses it might have and exploit them. The weight situation I think is crazy and I think is really freaking cool. And then the battle of like willpower and skill to deal with the force that they're both being crushed under. And then the expansion of the domain and like understanding this ethereal space underneath, and then the multiple gameplay outplays and stuff. It's fucking spectacular and really cool. Then it all sort of pulls way back in its tone, having hit this like near victory point, and both characters have expended most of their resources. There's only one thing to do, and that's to fight it out. And at this point, I was like, I wondered how extended this combat was going to be. And it's not. It's just a couple of exchanges, a couple of flurries, and then a decisive blow. In many ways, it reminds me of samurai film, like Kurosawa samurai film, right? Where there's all this setup for a very short battle, right? The battle takes just a couple of strikes, and then it's over, and then we're in the aftermath and the dealing with death, the repercussions. This feels a lot like that. The animation around the hand-to-hand fighting is unique and incredible. And I'm really curious who is responsible for it. I'm sure that we've seen them before on JJK. There's a familiarity here, but I'm not able in my mind to connect this and say like this cut and this cut, same person. So I'm going to want to look at Sakagaburu rather quickly. So I'm going to do this very fast skim through the whole of the episode, and then we're going to go straight to Sakagaburu and do things a little bit out of my normal order, if you will. In his last act, Reggie recognizes Megumi as like a worthy fighter, right? Like, your plan worked, and I see that, and I've lost. We talk a little bit about Tengen, and we have this really visually beautiful scene of the blood spreading. I'm reminded of the Japanese flag because it's such a perfect circle of the red. That's what I'm reminded of, just sort of a little bit, but it's just a striking color scheme. It's beautiful. And he expresses that he just wanted to see if this was interesting, you know? Wasn't here for a primary goal, didn't really want to support Kenjaku. And in his last act, gives his points over to Megumi. So then we reveal who Comedian really is. Hilarious and insane. We do this almost death for Remy. And Megumi turns away. Interesting. And like, what an interesting counterpoint to the previous episode where, as I said at the beginning of this discussion, like, Megumi stepped across that threshold unthinkingly. But then he gets there again, and there's this sense, right? Like, once you're across that threshold, it's much easier to do it again and again and again and again. And Higuruma kind of proves that. He fits that mold. So Megumi comes up to this point, and it is his, I mean, it's maybe a little ham-fisted, but it's not subtle. It is his shadow that is fighting here, right? Like, this isn't Megumi himself, it's his shadow. And then his sister comes in and snaps him out of it. Drops the weapons and retreats. And her impression is like, oh, you're sparing me. It has something to do with me. And it's not that at all. It has nothing to do with Remy. It has everything to do with Megumi not needing to kill somebody. And then we meet Angel and get this crazy setup for what's to come. The cannon. The Sky Warrior. And we've got like four kings of the four directions sort of vibe, with Yuta coming in and assassinating them probably one by one over the course of the next episode. That is so fucking exciting, and such a way to build Yuta up as a character, not that we need to, but holy shit. I am going to pull up Sakagaburu. That's really where I want to go here. There's something kind of refreshing about getting to see one set of cuts and be like, it's Kiro, 100%. I know it. It's not anybody else, because I've made a lot of mistakes in guessing at animators over this core of JJK, but that's a portion where you look at it like, that's nobody else. That's Kiro. That's Keiichiro Watanabe right there. But my big question mark is the hand-to-hand combat sequence, because that was striking. The camera movement throughout it was really exciting and unique, and just the way that those characters moved was different. So who is it? Is it somebody that we're gonna recognize as a name? Is it gonna be a Julian Bentley or somebody who we know, or is it an unknown? I don't know. I want to find out. Ah! Completely thrown out of my ass. I got it right. It's Julian goddamn Bentley. I can't even pat myself on the back because I really just threw that out as like, I don't know, maybe it's Julian Bentley. It's fucking Julian Bentley. I should not be as excited about that as I am, but I am. But I am. Let me have this. Let me have this. Okay. We got a bunch of cuts. I'm going to grab them all because everything in this episode deserves to be looked at, I think. Even the Artist Unknown stuff, I still want to take a peek at it. Often going through those, there are like little moments and things that I catch that I didn't in the flow of things. As he drifts away at his face. Yeah, it's cool. It nails the vibe. Okay, we're holding on, getting shattery stuff. I really do like this moment where these two, it's like watching galaxies collide or something like that. It's freaking neat. The tension is really there. The weight is really there. It's cool. Okay, we got the silliness between these two and all this goofy stuff from our comedian. Good. This is Sage, as he ends up truly underwater, sinking. It's so interesting that this space feels so vast when it's really just a pool. It's cool. But it is, I mean, yeah, you don't have to be that far underwater to be drowning. Oh, the planes! The planes cut was really cool. I really wish that we had a not Artist Unknown on this, because like the spinning of the sky, this is clearly matched with some real footage of fighter jet pilots, right? But this opening moment where they whip by, that's really neat. The best planes drawing stuff that I've seen is an old OVA called Area 88. And I would highly recommend going and checking it out. It's on my Retro Monday Overdrive playlist if you want to watch it with me. It's like a 4-episode OVA about a guy who becomes a jet fighter in like a foreign land. It's really good. It was really good. Boom! There's a shadow above you too. The sense of scale and everything is nailed all throughout this. It has to be. Max Nobile for a bunch of the cuts here. So it's a bunch of fire and then a bunch of goofy things from our comedian boy and some crazy facial expressions. It's a good time. This is Nasijao, Teeaboo, and Artist Unknown. Okay. So we got our facial... Oh, okay. So this is part of the portion where I wasn't able to really follow it because I was trying to pay attention to the dialogue at the same time. I think... Let me try to get the mechanics of this portion going. He fires this. It becomes an arrow, which he uses to cut the tongue of the frog boy and send himself swinging. Dodging kicks. Using his feet to pull receipts. Using tongue to get up. And the receipt creates an explosion of fire. And then he hooks a blade up into the frog up here to make it disappear and release himself, letting him land down on the water. What is he? He lands, and then there are all these sparkles. And maybe that's like one of his self-heal sort of contracts. And then we've got clones and shadows and battling, and bashing him into the... Okay, cool. We've got O'Brien, Benny, and Teeaboo. This is a continuation of that same sequence. Or maybe it's the sequence immediately before it. Dropping the dagger into the... Oh! Yeah, I was wondering why we did that. That's him testing the nature of the domain. I think he's testing whether if I drop an arbitrary object, does it sink into his domain and therefore become probably something that he's having to carry around with him. So it's in this moment that Reggie drops this blade, not to cut anything, but to figure out, I think, if he can do this. And then drops a bunch more. I'm not sure. We take all these punches and blows. I don't love this sequence. It's a little disconnected to me. The fists coming out of the shadows. Maybe that's the point, is that, you know, he's striking from the shadows in all directions, but that's not really how it impressed itself on my mind at first. It just feels a little jerky, as though these these after effects are not matched up, but that's okay. And then dangle, dangle, and it's the next cut, which is the previous cut where he cuts himself free. Okay, here are our shadows. I do really like the idea here of shadows on the backdrop, and this whole scene has a very striking vibe to it. It's very similar to some of the scenes of Maki, I feel like. These sort of slow motion walking toward inevitability. Like the scene where Maki approaches the room where the big battle ends up happening. She sort of slows down and approaches it. But we get a different ending to this little story because Megumi turns away. Okay. Skyvogs! That's not a name I've ever heard. So this is some hand-to-hand still in domain, though. That's cool. Thwam! I really like the way that he spins there. That's really cool. Okay. Shin Kaneko. This is our first scene in the episode where he unleashes the domain. It's awesome. I love the shadow sprinting across the ground. I think it's really cool. And then this sort of the camera sort of loses its grounding almost, as though things aren't quite stable. It sort of floats around a little bit. You see what I mean? And then Reggie comes through with this domain. That's really cool. Did Shin Kaneko do any of the big hand opening sequences for that domain? That it feels similar to me. JJKS3. So here's the Genga for it, which would be cool to look at. Shin Kaneko did that one. I'm just gonna grab a couple of these. So here's the Genga for it. Oh, that's freaking cool. Freaking cool. Okay. Okay, this sequence feels very different from the woof of effects there. And this fight sequence as well. And then this is from, okay, some goofier stuff. Whoa. What a cool cut from Kaneko. I really like this whole sequence. With the psh and the reflections and wow. Kiro! Presumed? The fuck you mean presumed? Who the fuck else could this be? 100%. That's not anybody else. We got 50 seconds of this shit. Look at these boys. You think that's somebody other than Kiro? Come on. Okay. Look at those. How does he come up with this shit? How does he come up with this shit? Truly, I have never seen anyone warp shape the way that he does. And it's so interesting because, like, Genta Ishimori, for example, warps shape and does distinct, warpy, flowy animation. You know? Like this, right? This stuff from Dandadan is Ishimori to the nines. And it's completely different. Like, same question could be asked. How does he come up with these shapes? How does he decide that these shapes are the ones that are going to express a character's, like, rapid movement through scene? But then the conclusions that each of them come to are different. Kiro comes to these rotated, like, smooth form shapes with shadow integrated into them they're kind of like Wakame shadows. Well, that's a strange shot for it, but like these dark shadows that create accents within and make shiny things appear shiny even though you're putting darkness on them. It's just nobody draws like Kiro. Nobody draws like Kiro. Nobody creates motion like Kiro. Nobody warps and distorts like Kiro. Nobody tumbles like Kiro. And certainly, nobody sprints around in weird, flowy, waterlogged arcs like Kiro. What the what the absolute actual fuck? What was that? He slides in, does a full, like, b-boy move. We're still warping every single thing possible, all locked into this 3D space, and what the fuck? Okay, then we get the biggest slidey spiral. I love that. I love that. like the pieces that are broken up where we can sort of see the background through pieces of Megumi, they create motion in him. They add to it. Ah! I know it's simple enough that I could just point and be like, this is fucking crazy. But how? But how? Okay, just that. I missed this while it was flowing, but like we whip him woof, past the camera. I have never seen anything whip past the camera like that. You know, this is not an uncommon sort of angle, right? If you imagine a character dropping from the sky and past the camera, it's the same thing in reverse, right? They're up here, they whoosh down to there. But here we like he's being lifted like a fluttering feather in the wind and whips past us. The speaking of whipping, that whippiness, that ability to take something that isn't moving and accelerate it to extreme speed and then like end the cut there as though it's like a knife cut or a literally a whip going by, whips through the screen. Nobody creates momentum like that. Nobody does water like this. Nobody does character expression like this. What the fuck? Nobody does expression like this. The whole face becomes a canvas for that sort of warped perspective idea, but instead it's emotion coming through instead of just motion. I think if anything, this is where I would love to see Kira go. Is take his stylistic capacity and apply more emotion to it. Like like hybridize it with the top tier of KyoAni facial expression animation and do sort of expand Kira's ability to do like tone back but highly emotive cuts. I would love to see that expand. Not that he's incapable of it by any stretch. I don't think there's something he can't do. Okay, so this is a classic. We have our characters in so many pieces that it like what? That all we get are like impressions of spinning and whipping and whirling and bouncing. And it's kind of glorious. It's kind of goddamn glorious. New ways and the whole thing's incredible. Thanks, Kiro. Okay, we've got Daniel Kim on this expressions and acting moment. Oh, this is where he's so arrogant. He's certain that he's won. Ha ha ha! It is awesome. The way he like bounces here. And then a house. Goddamn house. He's so convinced that he's victorious. What a play. And finally, hand to hand. Not to downplay Julian's animation, but the shot composition and editing really remind me of those skit or parody video. It's good, but in a silly way. I don't see it, Rare F0138. I really don't see skit or parody video in the direction and shot composition. I see like handheld, like found footage handheld whipping around, and it feels like it anchors me as a part of the combat. Like I am forced to be moving along with them. Like I find the animation fascinating, especially here when something strange sort of happens. Something about the blockiness and perspective of the characters. It's like the fisheye behind and the way they're moving in strange fisheye perspective. That shifting of lenses, like we're changing lenses between all three of these shots. This is a distinct fisheye lens. This is the same distinct fisheye lens, isn't it? Okay, fisheye, still warped, but not as much, and then mostly flat. Right? Because like these aren't warped anymore, everything's flat. And here we're fisheyed. So there are a bunch of sequences where all the big guidelines of the shot end up curved by the lens dynamics. Even here, yeah. So that's what's giving a different feel here more than anything. Because Julian's animation is awesome, but it's the feeling like they're up really close to us. Like they have the ability to move, maybe a foot away and they feel much further away, and then a foot closer and they feel like they're almost going to break the lens. They're going to punch the camera. But then the fisheye also anchors us into the moment and makes them the biggest thing in a frame. That's really unique. It just feels unique. Okay, it's mostly on twos as well, with camera moving tick, tick, tick between. But there are subtle places where it jumps to ones. Bam, bam. Oh, like that. Bam, bam, bam. That was ones, right? So like that becomes a faster, and now we're on twos again. The character, like, body movement is spectacular. Like this momentum catch on the floor makes sense from every angle to me, because he's tumbling downward and that puts force down into his foot. Bam, and he like hits and like lifts a little off of it, and then bounces that momentum forward instead, and engaging his legs and sprints, and we get this stretched out view of him as he pushes his legs backward like a frog away from us almost, and then walks up in, overtakes the camera, and then it's a leg straight out to you that matches up with the next shot perfectly, again into fisheye. So we're doing all the parts, the cuts, the composition, the motion, the lens choice, and then like subtle frame modulation to make certain strikes feel much faster, and then bring us back into the flow of everything else on twos. Super, super duper cool. Super cool, and compared to like Watanabe warping everything, the characters are very cohesive. They don't warp or shift. They hold almost as though they're rotoed. They're not clear. They're clearly not. But there's this level of accuracy and not warping, not stretching the characters that makes this whole sequence feel rather grounded, especially when combined with the camera angles and lens choices and the feeling like we're really behind a camera and in this moment. And then you sort of connect that to the slow build up, sort of duelist draw for the scene, and it all kind of comes together to be really cool and something that I really, really like. I would have been very surprised if you had told me that going into this episode there would be a big Kiro cut, and it probably wouldn't be my favorite cut of the episode. But that is the case. That is the situation that we find ourselves in. The big Kiro cut is spectacular, but this Julian Bentley hand-to-hand fight is my favorite part of the episode, and not just because of how it looks and how it feels animation wise, but because of where it stands in the episode. We've got these two characters that have expended most of their resources, that have gotten to their last rope, and they both know how this is gonna go down and silently walk toward their fates together, right? It's kind of badass. I really like it. Okay, we've done a quick skim, we've looked at the visuals. Let's go ahead and dive a little bit into some of the dialogue around the domain idea and some of the other emotional beats of the episode, and then we'll wrap. Cause cool and speed. All the little fireworks coming in. Oh. Okay, Hollow Wicker Basket, or Origin of the New Shadow Style's Simple Domain. It possesses the ability to neutralize a domain and counter its sure-hit effects. Zannen! So the domain extension that Jogo and Hanami used in Shibuya could have been infused with a sure-hit, sure-kill technique. But instead, they deliberately omitted one and freed up capacity to channel Gojo's technique, neutralizing his Limitless. But Hollow Wicker Basket and Simple Domain cannot neutralize the cursed technique itself. So whatever Megumi's like domain would have as far as a sure hit, sure kill ability, we don't get to see it. Is that correct? Is that what I'm interpreting here? Like his domain very well may have a sure hit, sure kill ability, but Reggistar immediately throws out the antidote to it and blocks that card from going off, right? So all that Megumi has is the increased power level within his domain to use his style, right? To use his technique, the cursed technique itself, not the sure hit, sure kill features or anything like that. So it's just Megumi, but in a space that he controls, that is completely enveloped by his shadow, and wherein his abilities with his shadow are improved. Right? Have I got it? I think I've got it. They neutralize the barrier infused with the technique to nullify the sure hit effect, but there isn't really a barrier infused with the technique, right? That's my understanding. The barrier in this case is the gym. And that's why the next line is going to be, however, Megumi's domain is, Fushiguro's domain is incomplete. Not so smug now, are you? Some great expressions and some great back and forth and mind games between these characters. That part really lands. Transposed his domain onto the gym itself, forcing it closed, but it's not infused with the sure. Okay, awesome, good. Lands and sparkles. Don't think you've won. It simply extends his 10 shadows, drawing out 120% of his potential, and forcing Keiichiro Watanabe to draw him at 120% of his potential. I don't want to know what Kiro working at 120% will look like. Holy fuck. I do want to see this little b-boy move again. What the? Did we spin all the way around him with camera? Yeah, we did. We did. So we are simultaneously, he's spinning one direction and we're spinning around him with camera the other way to make it look even faster. And then we whip with Reggie up into the sky. Okay, I'm fucking insane. However, that very imperfection was what caught Reggistar off guard. So this barrier isn't infused, and as he's getting pummeled, he's realizing it. But this buff is nothing to scoff at. This is way worse. So he realizes he's in a struggly place, but I won't let that happen. That's just who I am. So he lands 3 cars. He's figured something out. I knew it. Been reinforcing my footing the entire time, but the shadow is below us. He doesn't have many weapons. Why doesn't he do that sort of, that Gilgamesh thing and just pull out a bajillion swords? Well, maybe he can't. This is so cool. Nobody's gone this far in understanding Megumi's technique, let alone this fast. I think this does a good job of demonstrating to us, like, we should have some respect for Reggistar. There's a comment on a previous episode about Reggie and how he sort of seems pretty silly and like a laughingstock at first, but then you watch him move and he is an athlete. He is never doing too much, right? He's always thoughtful and careful and plays things carefully, and even his silly looking dress, his weird receipt paper cloak, turns out is actually like a really good idea. It keeps all of his weapons immediately at hand, inseparable from him all the time, easily accessible. It is armor, right? It is literally armor. Reggie is a good fighter, and the impression that we get of him is like, oh, this is kind of a silly guy. It's not somebody to be taken too seriously, is dead fucking wrong. This sort of mental game where he's figuring things out and comprehending techniques that he hasn't even had exposure to because, like, they've been invented while he was dead is really cool. It reminds me a little bit of the moments in Frieren where we, like, awaken an ancient sage, and the sage starts very rapidly understanding the new developments in magic that have occurred and coming up with new countermeasures to them. So there's, like, a race against the clock to defeat this creature before it speedily catches up with thousands of years of magical development and stuff and is able to become a real threat to us. In this case, Reggie is like that. He awakens, he's like, oh, there are some cool new abilities here. I'm going to figure out how they work, and then I'll be unstoppable. And he's close. He is close, but not quite there. Partly because Megumi, well, Megumi's a little closer than close. Megumi's there. 2.4 tons. All I have to do is keep piling on weight. Aren't you forgetting something? An incomplete domain is still a domain. We get a great face from Megumi as he's like under all of this pressure, but he still has this like, aha, I gotcha. We freeze for a second and the elephant drops. Who's gonna get crushed first? What an intro. That's like, oh, it's like 4 minutes. Wow, it feels so much faster than that. What an intro. What a shot of adrenaline. Oh, the fibula and the heel bone shattering is, oh, that's a lover's, it's called a lover's fracture, I think, when your what is it, a calcaneus shatters, because that's like the if you jump off a building and that's what breaks. Yeah, it's called a lover's fracture. The truck's in reserve, but I've got my trump card. What if I'm stuck forever? And then he starts like wondering at it. It feels like almost that morbid curiosity when you're on the edge of a cliff. You're like, I wonder what I would feel like if I was falling off of this, you know, just musing off of it. No, too risky, can't do it. But he'll be submerged anyway. He pulls his trump card, calls out contractual recreation, and then snaps. Maybe because he took a hand off of the elephant? I'm not sure. But he is pushed down into the shadow. And we get this really lovely scene of total silence. It reminds me immensely of the ending of Cars in JoJo. Just off into oblivion, mind slowing down. Truly terrifying. But not enough. Megumi holds on and holds on under the weight, waiting for him to be dead. But Reggie, atop a vehicle, emerges angelic, lit by the headlights. Holy crap-a-moly! Good thing I didn't make those cars disappear. Ah ha ha. And then he gets really fucking crazy with the facial expressions. You're strong, however. I am stronger. Look at these expressions, man. Ah. Truly feeling that power of victory. Contractual recreation, a house, or I guess an ADU. Insanity, pure insanity. I love that we focus on all these objects inside the house falling. There's something about it that just feels really cool to me. So, we have a big question as our screen goes black. What is Megumi gonna do? And how did we end up here, in the dark, underwater, with Megumi materializing from shadow around Reggie's body? Actually drowning. But not that far down. Just a swimming pool. And both of them emerge. Where was Megumi? How did he get around his back? I don't even know. Doesn't really matter. Can I just say, this is a weird frame to care about, but the shiny bits, the highlights, these like bright highlights, are so distinct from everything else in the episode. Let me go literally anywhere else in the episode. No highlights. No highlights. This is outside, so it doesn't really count. Here we're shiny, we get with the blood and stuff, so that's something. No highlights like that. No highlights like that. I mean, we got the headlights of the thing. Nothing like that. Nothing like with that ephemeral shine to it. Here, glowing. None of them can deal a decisive blow. But he's wrong. Megumi's been playing him from the start, keeping Divine Dog in reserve. Okay, leading up to my favorite scene, this is part of what makes it, I think, my favorite scene in the episode, is this build. This, like, synthy background track, which we've used before. I can't... Oh, wait! I know where we've used this before. We used this. Here. This is that sort of somber, odd-feeling track that is our full introduction track for the first scene of the show. Which ends right here with Yuta. So, here in present, we've got a similar kind of a building, slow building moment, and we choose to use the same track for it. That's part of why it's laden with such energy, is like, we've heard this before. It's got emotions attached to this song already. It's not just coming out of nowhere. That's why. What a setup. And then wham! What is it about the... Okay, we've watched through it a couple times on Sakagaburu. I'm just gonna say one more thing about it. What is it about this shot transition from this shot to this shot? Something about the transition between these two does something to my brain. Maybe it's the fact that they go like bam, bam, in terms of the hits that happen within each shot. Like Megumi's attack, bam, and then he's pulling back, and then bam. And it's something about the timing of that locks into my brain. But I don't know. It's like the visual language. Oh no, I know what it is. It's this. It's the follow through. So we get this left from Reggie, and he swings in with this right elbow, right? Oh no, it's right after the kick. So the kick, and then he's coming in with this right elbow as he takes this kick, and then it comes through. So the impression that I get is because we cut from here to over here, we're cutting through his elbow, right? We're cutting through from the rear back to it, and then our next frame is basically him pulling and following through with it. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. We get pulled back by Megumi's kick. Bam. Pulled back. Yeah. One frame back. Forward. Wow. Okay. I think that might... Okay, let me find another cut. Yeah. We cut through in a very similar way, but instead of being like at the start of a motion, it's the end of one. This kick comes forward. Once it anchors and lands, we're on this side having had it go through. And now his foot probably comes down behind him, and we come in for the next strike. Oh, and then it happens again. We come in for the next strike. He strikes forward. We cut with. Bam. Our characters are moving the camera. That's the feeling that it is. And that's the way to phrase it, is that sometimes on one strike or another, that's the strike that moves the camera. And it's almost as though their motion physically causes the camera to shift. We could actually view it as Megumi's kick causes the camera to shift. Bam. And now we're over here. He like kicks the camera off to the side. Or we could view it as Reggie's next movement shifts the camera as he moves forward. Boom. And then next. Boom. And then here. Boom. He kicks, camera moves. There's a rule to it. There's a logic. That's what I was trying to make sense of, is like, what is it about the choice of when and where things are being cut that's making this feel different? Because it feels different. It feels different from almost any hand-to-hand combat sequence I've seen in film, or animation, or anything. It's completely different, and the most obvious point where that happens is where this kick turns into this. And then from there. It's like, what the hell was that? It does something that like causes a short circuit in my brain. That's like, something unique just happened. I think I've put my finger on what it is. It's in combination with the speed of motion and the lenses and the shifting camera and the buildup that happened before. But I think the crucial element is which frame we move the camera to where. And lining that frame up with certain attacks. As opposed to coming at this scene with like, let's line up the best angle to show the fighting, right? Or the best angle to express emotion. It's like, let's let the fight move the camera. That's what it feels like. And that's maybe powerful. Maybe a really powerful paradigm. It's fucking awesome. It's quick. And then we fly through, and it's Divine Dog in a flash. Spark. And a death blow. A very like classic samurai through the shoulder sort of death blow, which adds to that sort of samurai fiction idea. And with the blood spray as well, we're really focusing in on that space. Sorcerers are built on lies, huh? So then we spend some time with a wistful death scene for Reggie, something that I didn't expect. And it mostly is a modern sorcerer and a brat at that to get the better of me, to think. It's like a respect on Megumi's name, you know? And Megumi sort of gives that respect back. He sort of flatly talks about the logic of what he did. Like, even if I wanted to flee, I wouldn't have been able to. I can't have Nue carry me for that long. And so the impression that I get is like, Megumi was almost backed into a corner in terms of only having a couple of options, but then spending his time and effort working around those options to keep them hidden as like trump cards to get an advantage, to get his only possible advantage. This was a close affair. Like, this was a close affair. And I think Megumi knows it. What's your relation to Tengen? He clearly knew Tengen. Knows them as a shut-in. And then Megumi has this thought, what if Tengen and Kenjaku are working together and lying to us? Ugh. It doesn't seem likely, given the way that he talked about Tengen, but that's a scary thought. I mentioned this one before, but this is a striking visual. The like perfectly semicircular spread of blood. It's really beautiful. And in his last act, he gives over his points and then makes a request. Will you do me a favor? Let fate toy with you until you become the fool and die. I don't even have anything to say about this. It is just deeply curious. And it demonstrates a mentality, an attitude that I think fits with the rest of Reggie and his talking about just wanting to observe, you know, just wanting to see something interesting. Let fate toy with you. Let it happen. So Megumi walks away, and Reggie is announced dead. We do our comedian stuff, and then we do our Remy stuff. I think the Remy sequence is pretty amazing, but also kind of, oh god, here we go again. The wolf will always. Yeah, you wanna look into the eyes of the wolf? But he is stopped short by the voice of his sister, who he then curses, damn sister. And then he is approached by an angel. Whether that's going to be something positive or maybe something sinister, I don't know yet. But we need to make contact with that character, so it's a good thing that we are. And then, with no additional fluff, we hop on over to talk about what's going on in Sendai. It's worse. It's worse over here. There are 4 kings, and neither of them has been able to unseat the others, but now one of them has been dethroned. Something about her is really interesting. The, like, warpy wind of everything, and the sort of, like, it reminds me of, like, the In All Heaven and Earth, I Alone am the Chosen One. Oh, you know what it also reminds me of? It's like the Warner Brothers opening, where it, like, pans over a bunch of, like, houses and stuff. Holy shit, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Super weird. Also, is she wearing not clothing? Is she using air to, like, manipulate the the air around her naughty bits and keep them from being seen? That is what it looks like here. Weird. And then there's a goddamn cockroach bug. This isn't solo leveling. I've read that far in solo leveling. This isn't solo leveling. You can't just have an ant shadow. Hey, maybe Megumi will acquire an ant shadow. That'd be cool. Cockroach cursed spirit. Let's be real. Cockroaches are a plague. And there have been times where they have been much more of a plague. Much more of a problem. That's a scary cursed spirit. It, like, when I think about it, there's one thing that I think about when it comes to cockroaches, and that is they are fucking unkillable. So, that's a problem. But if we have Yuta up against it, I think we'll be okay. Officially registered as a special grade? Bad. Yuta Okotsu against it? Not quite as bad. 4-way deadlock, and now it's fallen. Okotsu Yuta, now a special grade again. second only to Gojo Satoru, who is not in the game, an anomaly. Something unpredictable. How will he act as a wrench in the works? Or has Kenjaku seen that far ahead and planned for whatever oddities and anomalies Yuta, Yuji, Megumi, and the rest might bring to his little game? We'll have to find out next time on Jujutsu Kaisen, and I'll say thank you so much for watching this week's episode with me. I appreciate your presence here. If you got thoughts on this one, thoughts about the conversational moments with Reggie, in interpretations of particular things, especially like the dynamics between cursed energies and skills and stuff, I'd love to hear about it. Drop them in the comments. I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to finishing this season off next week. For now, I will say thanks for watching. Much love. Peace.